Hello and welcome to Phoenix Cinema Podcast Film Club, where a community of film nerds, just like myself, gather to rate and review films of our choosing. Why? Because we love movies and we love talking about them with each other, most of all. Joining me today is Zalan Pall, manager of Phoenix Cinema. Hello, Zalan.
Hello, everyone. Hello, guys. It's a pleasure as always.
Such a
Coming.
pleasure to have you back, sir. And our fellow film geek, Hannah Tavares. Hannah, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Glad to be back and good to see you both.
So glad to have you back and lovely to see you as well. So today we're going to be discussing Kelly Reichardt's film, Certain Women. And it's always at this point when Luke isn't here that I realize that we don't have a synopsis ready. So I'm gonna actually I might have IMDb's one here ready to go, and it's going to be extremely short, I think, because that's what IMDb synopses are. Yep, here it is. So here we go. The lives of four women intersect in small town America, where each is imperfectly blazing a trail. Are they?
Yeah,
Okay, well
rural
we'll
yeah,
talk about that. Yeah, but okay. So Zaylin, you picked this film. Tell us why you picked it. Have you seen it before?
yes. It's. I absolutely adore this movie, and I understand that it's usually when it comes to like Kelly Reichardt, it's one of my favorite directors. I really admire her work, and in terms of like, I consider her as one of the standout independent filmmakers, not just in America, but like on the globe. Her films are always
Wow.
bit unconventional. It goes against the grail, and it's one of those things that it might demand certain films because of her style is not plot heavy. It's all about the human emotions and just sometimes the gestures of the characters. So it's a very different filmmaker. Sometimes her ends her films that it's completely anti-dramatic, or just you don't even realize that it's like it should end the story there. But I found her work fascinating, and I always feel like that if you manage to find the right wavelength, that you find like minor miracles with
Mm.
all her films. And actually, you inspired Chris because we talked about adaptation and said like in the last episode that you like films that it's they don't make films like that anymore.
Mm.
It
Mm-hmm.
certainly fits into that more like her films are, whether you like it or not, it is always unique, and those people who find the magic in her work, they really really admire her. But I also understand that it's not for everyone, because it's very materials, it's very like precise, and sometimes like it's a slow builder most of her work. But because
Yeah.
based on short stories, most of her work are based on short stories, and but I thought, it should be an interesting, slice of life of the rural, like Northwest America. And
Yeah.
have see what
Well,
you guys think about it.
such an impassioned response there to not just the movie but Kelly Reichardt in general. That's fantastic. Yeah, she's so critically adored. I mean, critically, she is adored. And I really haven't heard a bad word said about any of her films yet. Um, yeah, I have my own feelings about her, but Hannah, what about yourself? Obviously, I think I mean, when Zaylin announced this on the adaptation call, you were like, yes! So tell us about your relationship with this filmmaker, and have you seen this film before as well? I think you did say that you had, right?
Yeah, so in the previous time we all met, I had mentioned I had seen it originally. I do believe it was just after it released in 2016.
Mm,
I did not get the privilege to see it on a large screen, unfortunately. Maybe I'm hoping that her current film that just premiered, The Mastermind, I can catch on a large screen here in DC. Luckily,
Oh,
we
it
have
just premiered, did it? Oh, okay.
yeah, it premiered where at Cannes this year. So
Aha.
hopefully
Okay.
at some point, whenever they start doing the launches, we have a lot of spots are here in the DMV area where I live. It's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And they love
Mm.
films here, so we should be able to find a spot. But my reaction on the last call was one, the fact that you chose Kelly, and I was very excited and very interested to hear thoughts and opinions about her. And I feel like this is a director. I feel like I would have anticipated I would have been the first one to like nominate one of her films, and I'm glad I wasn't. I haven't fully interacted with her entire oeuvre as of yet. But I feel like her films come to my life in like quiet moments. I think her reputation and for the types of films that she puts together and curates, especially her long relationship with Michelle Williams, is what
Mm.
draws me into the stories. And yeah, I think I've heard the same as you. I think we're all going to be able to share our thoughts here about this film specifically. But I think she is um, quietly important in the film scene overall. If space isn't made and held for artists and visual artists like herself, I think everything becomes noise. So it's
Mm.
really it's a different viewing experience than I think most people would anticipate. So I would understand it being completely different flavor for people to engage with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there are beautiful things there, and this is an adaptation, as Zalan had said. So, and I haven't read the adaptation. I feel like that should have been the due diligence, was to read the book it was based off. And you lost me for a bit, so I don't know if I completely froze or not.
We lost you for a few seconds, so I didn't hear
Okay,
what you said about the book that it was based off. What about it?
cool.
Because thankfully you're back now. It seems.
Yeah, I wish I had rushed to get a copy of it first, because I feel like there's so many more clues in there, and also just like I wanted to understand like
Yeah.
what about that text brought Kelly into it, especially yeah, that's what I'm curious about, and I think I'll still poke
Mm-hmm.
around afterwards.
No, no, I haven't read it actually. I know it's based on three stories, and to be honest, I was a bit. I wanted to pick a Kelly film, but when I rewatched it, I was like, I was doubting myself whether maybe it shouldn't have been the first introduction for her work, because it's probably one of the least commercially, like digestible film. But the reason why I went with it, because it's my personal favorite, and also because it's three storylines. So I thought that even if like you would find at least one of the storyline engaging,
Right.
if your maybe this is not your wheelhouse for someone, because usually I think when you look at like it critically adored, but when you look at audience scores, it's usually 50-50, so half of the people.
Mm.
It's one of those films that in an Oscar ballot you get a lot of number one votes and a lot of number 10 votes, because so it just it didn't work out for someone. But then people who really, it's one of those, like, I use this analogy, it's like a wave when you're surfing, and it's like if you catch the right wave, this is great. But then
Mm-hmm.
some people are just, yeah, it might be falls flat because it's you couldn't catch maybe the wave, and that's perfectly fine as well. But I just thought that there's so many things to dissect with her film, so it's a fascinating filmmaker, certainly.
Yeah, I think I love what you're both saying, and especially what you were saying as well. And I love what you speak so eloquently, Hannah, about her place in the film industry. And if we didn't have filmmakers like her, everything else is just noise. I think that is fucking lovely what you said there. Um, and yeah, it's Zaylin, what you're saying about you have to get attuned to the right wavelength is so right. So I'll be 100% honest. I'm not a massive Kelly Reichardt. I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm not a massive fan of hers. I've seen two of her films before this. I saw First Cow, which is the film she made after this, and it just bounced off of me. I just wasn't feeling it whatsoever. And then I watched Showing Up, which was the latest film she did with Michelle Williams. So the one right before her new release now. And again, I just wasn't feeling it at all. I watched the whole movie and I was like, oh my God, it's so clear that she has a particular style or a particular pace. And that pace is slow. It is deathly slow. So when you picked this film, Zen, and I was like, whew, okay, here we go, here we go. And I have to say, it's my favorite of the films that I've watched of hers so far. It's so funny. I watched it with my girlfriend, and about half an hour, 45 minutes in, she was coloring, and she just looked up and she went, "This is pretty boring, to be honest with you." I thought that was so. I thought that was so funny, but however, I disagreed. I disagree because yes, it's slow. However, I was never bored. And I think there's no issue with a movie being slow as long as it's compelling, right? And you have compelling characters and compelling actors. And look at this cast. I mean, we can get to that, but I mean, when you fill a cast with these names, it doesn't matter how slow your movie is. I mean, they're going to find ways to make this interesting. And I have to say, it's like it's based on a short story, so it's like three short films, right?
Yeah.
That make up this feature film, and I'll
Very
be interested to hear. Yeah, sorry, Zan.
very, very loose connections that is just slide through
So
the.
loose. Yeah, I was waiting for like the big connection, and there never was. And I thought I loved that. I'd be very interested what you all think about each individual story. I mean, we could briefly touch on that. So you have Laura Dern's section, who I think Laura Dern might be my favorite actress of all time. I don't know, but
David Lynch
fascinating,
approval. Yeah.
fascinating, and her and Jared Harris just completely vibing off of each other, and yeah, so interesting. I was watching it, going, where is this going to go next? And it's almost just purely because Jared Harris holds a shotgun. It's almost like the most action-packed story within the film. But yeah, what are your Zalan? What are your thoughts and feelings
So
on that one?
did you feel disappointed that that storyline ended in a way like that? It's like it went on to like a complete different, sort of plot. I
Not
mean,
at all. I feel like I even more so. I was leaning in now. I was like, okay, you're going to start like this. Okay, I'm willing to go with Michelle Williams for now. Let's see what this is all about.
the thing is, it's like sometimes I think with luck and then just the order of how you get into a director's, filmography matters
Hmm.
because maybe if I would have started with First Car, you never know. I might not have been a fan, but like the first film I watched was Wendy and Lucy, and I just that film really grabbed me, and it's such a simple movie, and then that's how like when I watch a Kelly Reichardt film, I already know that don't worry about the plot. It's difficult to digest because the plot and the narrative that there's in this film I agree with you, there's really nothing happens, right? In terms of plot, like if you try to explain to someone what happens in the film,
Right, right.
nothing, there is nothing, but it's a slice of life, and it just what I found this experience her watching her films like a meditation, like a journey really, because it's I know that like the first shot it comes in and it's like okay, I'm hooked. I know it's gonna be a slow ride, and it just I'm gonna transport myself to the lives of
Hmm.
these characters, and it's the
Hmm.
small gestures and the like and the whole films. Most of her films have this sort of like isolation and characters longing towards just a connection. And then Hannah, just you mentioned, like the rural, places you live sometimes. It's if you don't, if you have to drive, hours to meet with someone and socialize, then it's a different way of thinking. And yeah, I really like those kind of awkward in between moments as well. When it's sometimes I question myself that is this just incredible acting, or is just like the combination of that there was is meant to be with the way the direction of
Mm.
choices. And I found those little secret, like you find the secret meaning in a film, and then for yourself you feel like yes, like I kind of like in this complex layered storyline, I found something that I figured myself, or just I feel that way. And for that reason, most of her films are giving me some sort of gift in a way, and which I understand that it's like liking rhubarb as a fruit. There might be a lot of people who would not like it, but if you find it very endearing, and just something unique about it, then yeah, evokes different emotions with it. And I don't know how you feel about it, Hannah, but I feel it's so American, her storylines, because often these are it's a different style of America in terms of her films. Usually the characters, or like even the locations are cheap motels, railway station, car park, riverbanks, rail yards, not the big city, like skyscrapers you would associate. So I appreciate in a way learning more about the American experience that usually when you watch like sort of commercial films, I don't get it.
You don't see, yeah. Hmm.
I mean, I see a different side of it, but yeah, I'm interested to to learn more about like Montana and how people live, and it just just the different characters
That
portrayed.
was so beautifully said, and a great little gateway into it too. My experiences as an American are in a really highly like educated state. I come from Massachusetts, is where my family emigrated to from Brazil, and we live just on the outskirts of what is known as like the greater metropolitan area around Boston, which is a very big city, great academic center. But I feel like my town, we are just, if you've ever heard of the Boston Marathon, probably because of the bombings, we are
Hmm.
the neighbor town to where that marathon begins. So we're just 26.4 miles out from Boston. Um, but we're also one of the last like little towns before the rest of our state becomes truly rural. Just like many of our other states on the coast, it's the cosmopolitan areas that are quite blue and democratic, and where you have more rural areas, they are generally astonishingly swaths of red areas in each of the states where they're Republican. So I feel like in my life in that part of Massachusetts, I get to see glimpses of this other version of Kelly Reichardt's window of America and experience in America. Of course, her stories generally do not take place in my part of the states, but it shows me. I feel like we're not seeing the. I'm going to get it wrong too, even though I'm from here. If it's the Midwest that she focuses on the most, um, but we do get to see. I feel like she does depictions of those towns and those rural states and its people in a way that isn't a caricature. I think most times we come into contact with these more rural or vast states, if you're doing some sort of like cross country, fast paced film, it's like a flyby area is what Americans will call some states in the Midwest, because you're just always flying from like East Coast to West Coast or back and forth, and you don't go to stay and spend time in those states. And so much of the cultures of each of one, especially Montana, which is where certain women takes place. It's known for its mountain ranges and it's for its like rivers running through.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like Kelly, she gives that area and those characters um just like the stage quietly. She's not shaping them or I don't know, giving notes or shouting direction. I feel like she sets them in the space and is unworried about where they're going to find themselves. There's something about like
Mm.
how it's quite breathing. I felt so inherently that all the characters that walk on the screen, they have a fully lived life. And another aspect, especially in certain women, is Zaylin, I think you said that, like there's like a gift in watching her films and this one. And I definitely agree because I th- you might think an hour and 45 minutes of my time into this film and I'm not sure what I get out of it, but I caught myself in so many moments throughout the film, filling in, sort of creating my own dialogue of what I anticipate the characters may be feeling, thinking about, going
Right.
through, or even just the reasons for. I think of the reasons for why they say what they do and when or where. And I'm thinking of the husband in the car with his daughter in the back, and he says, "Let's be good to let's be nice to mom today." And we know, given like one of the first earlier scenes, that it's a rocky the marriage isn't in a good place as he's having an extramarital affair. But the little nuances, I don't know. It's quite
I mean, I do.
I don't know. It's quietly a gift. Like it reminds me to listen. Also, I feel like I listened the hardest without noticing that that's what I was doing. Because I
Yes.
was like, there isn't an overtone. There isn't something else to like draw my attention. I mean, like even on one of the cuts when they go to the diner again, I think it was the second time, and the camera sits, is going by the counters of the diner, and you just see people's arms working, getting the coffee, getting the mug, or like somebody in the back prepping a dish. And I was like, I really felt attuned to like I was listening to the sounds like in like the ambient sounds in that space, and I was like, how often do I ever notice that in my own life? I don't think I do because I'm stuck in my own internal track.
Mm.
And it was a bit of a breath. And meditating isn't, I feel like you are quite focused when you're meditating, so when you're starting, I'm not good at that. So Zaylin, maybe you have a different experience when you say that the film is like a meditation for you, because I feel like it brings me in and out of the present with what's happening on the screen and
In a
what
way,
I'm
I
how
mean,
I'm
is that it
processing.
transports me to a completely different world, and I'm engrossed by it. And by the fact that I'm focusing on that little world, it my it's not like a process of meditation, but my brain meditates because I'm not worried about anything else outside, and I'm really into that world, and I'm really like I'm part of it, and it's because of the slow pace. I'm just floating with it rather than like yeah. So that it's a difficult to explain, but there's a lot of little techniques that she does that fascinates me. And even what you mentioned in the beginning, I like in films when you have an information that the character doesn't know, and then it gives you a different angle because you see the relationship between the family completely differently. Because otherwise, you would think,
That's
oh,
right.
well,
Yeah.
he's the good guy. He's the one who has a good relationship, the father with the daughter, right? And the daughter-mother relationship that is normally is not that strong, which is again, it's usually don't see this, portrayed in films. So yeah, those little elements really add to the experience. But also, I mean, it's difficult to to passionately love something in a way, I guess, because these films are sometimes very heartbreaking. So it's about isolation and loneliness, and it's it's difficult to just say like, hey, high five, I just watched a film about loneliness and stuff. But that's why you
Yeah.
start. It makes your brain work a little bit differently, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that her films making me feel that way.
Yeah. And I think it was a key word you said there, Hannah, as well, is how quiet it is and how she does make you listen. If you are engaged with the movie, you will lean in and you will listen, but you'll listen subtextually as well. And I think you could make a cut of this movie and the whole movie is silent. It's just characters looking at each other, wanting something from each other, and just not saying anything. There are so many silences in this film. But I think credit to Reichardt. She's clearly such a great filmmaker that you never feel as if she's lost control of it. You know what I mean? You feel like you're in the hands of a steady, filmmaker, someone who knows what they do, who's in control. She's such a good filmmaker that even if they're not communicating, or you're trying to understand the silences, you're leaning in because you're like, this looks so good. It's moment to moment. So yeah, that's a major credit to the movie.
And
And I
also,
guess
yeah, yeah,
no,
I
please.
how you feel about the like the overall arc for it, but also I think out of the three storylines, the third one was for me that I believe the strongest, and because of it, obviously, like I feel the film. Obviously, they little bit they get back to it, like in the end, but out of the three, that was probably my favorite, of the stories, and that's why also like it's kind of kept elevating, the experience.
Mm. Well, maybe we can actually hit the three different sections when we get into the cast, because then we're going to discuss who was in each one. But we can start, I guess, by looking at the composer. So it's Jeff Grace. I've never heard of him. And looking at his credits now, I mean, it's not anything that I mean, Sweet Tooth, The Birch, Payback, In the Shadow of the Moon. I haven't heard of these films. In a Valley of Violence. He doesn't seem to have composed like Reichardt's previous films. So, I mean, I've looked at his whole filmography and I do not recognize a single title. But it's really curious because there was basically no score in this film.
Until the very
And
last, yeah.
is it when Lily Gladstone's character is just driving back?
That's
Now,
all. Yeah.
in that moment, even my girlfriend, who was still coloring away, she looked up and she went, "Music." And I was like, fascinating. You know, she loves music. So maybe that was really what stood out. But it made me realize, oh my God, yes, there's been nothing.
Yeah, just
Even
sounds of the city
just
and
sounds. Yeah.
she said like Livingstone. I don't know if you know this, Hannah. Is considered the windiest city. I know people say about Chicago, but it's really really windy. And she talked about even like filming. It was like just wind all the time, and you know how wind ruins the sound and everything. So it's like the sound of the cities are obvious. So that's why you kind of I feel like it's just like you're more engrossed in it because you pick up certain sound that maybe otherwise you wouldn't in a film. But I thought that little time they used the music, it was probably my favorite scene of the whole movie. So
Really? Is it when
it's
she falls asleep while
no, it's just
driving?
before when she drives away, and it's just such a I mean, we could talk about her class. I thought she was fantastic in this role, and
Oh, she's amazing.
it's
Yeah.
breaking. I mean, that was really like it's one of those like she doesn't overplay it. She doesn't want to make you cry, but you just still feel the emotions and just feel sorry. She just wants to have this connection, and it just being shot down and just drove. Imagine you drive to your girlfriend for 4 hours and it just there's nothing, and you swear it's
She wouldn't dare.
so
No, I
it's
agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, but I'm fascinated by choosing there to place the music. I'd love to know what the conversation was, because why there? Why not cut to black of that lovely shot with the horses and the mountains, and then over the credits. We haven't had score for the whole movie, so the significance of that moment. I'm not saying I didn't like it. It's just an interesting choice. I'm just fascinated by what was that about? Um, and you know what? Yeah, I'm happy with the movie not even having a score. It never required it. I don't think. It was so much more powerful in the silence. Yeah. Uh, you have a producer. Well, Todd Haynes is an executive producer. Of course, we spoke about him with when we spoke about Safe. So I like the connection you made there, Zalan, as well in choosing this. One of the main producers is Neil Kopp. It looks as if he's produced um, most of Reichardt's films, including her latest one, The Mastermind. But he also did Rebel Ridge and Hold the Dark and Green Room. So he's Jeremy Saulnier's producer as well. Who, I mean, I'm really fascinated by Jeremy Saulnier. He's such an amazing director. Yeah. He also did Meek's Cutoff. Oh, that's Kelly Reichardt as well. Oh, so
Yes,
this
also
the
Michael Williams. Yeah, it's
uh, and the did you say Michelle Williams as well?
yeah. She worked with her like quite a few times, not 4 times now. So yeah, I
Gotcha.
that's why I really got into her filmmaking because I really like Michelle Williams, and it was just there's this connection. I always fascinated between director, actor, actress. You know, like there is something like
Yeah.
profound, and you keep going back to the same actors, and
Yes.
usually means you learn more about the range of that like person as well, and it's especially within the films when it's such different type of characters and loneliness and
Yes.
isolation you have to portray. Yeah, it's a great match in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. I love actor director collaborations. And the trick is watching. So, what are you going to do next, but different? Why are you working together again? Yes, I love that. Um, one of the other producers is Vincent Savino. It looks like he works with Neil Kopp. He produces Reichardt's films and Saulnier's films as well. I wonder why Saulnier. And the other one is Anish Savjani, the same thing. Reichardt's producers and Saulnier's producers. I wonder what's going on there. I wonder if there's like a production company that Kelly Reichardt and Jeremy Saulnier are just a part of, like in-house filmmakers, and so maybe that's why they have these same producers. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we get to the cast, and yes, so Laura Dern's whole segment at the beginning. I mean, you can't praise Laura Dern enough because she's just absolutely fantastic. But so's Jared Harris. Jared
Yeah.
Harris is brilliant in it, and it just didn't go where I thought it was going to go. I was so conflicted on Jared Harris as a character. His name's Fuller, and I was like, I just couldn't get a beat on the guy. I was like, what's his deal? And then by the end, your heart, I mean, you feel for him so much. It's such a wonderfully tough and yet vulnerable performance. Um, and again, echoing that feeling of loneliness. His final sort of speech to her, when he's in prison and he's talking about, I would have loved a letter from
Oh
you.
yeah, that's beautiful.
It doesn't even matter what you talk about, just put it in on a letter and put it in the mail. And I almost teared up. It's such a heart-wrenchingly sad, longing speech. It's beautiful. It really was. And
The
I almost
twist,
thought to myself, like,
yeah.
are they going to end up? Are they going to end up together? I started to fabricate a whole future for the two of them in my head.
Such a sad for you feel for him, and then and Kelly just it twists it, like the knife in him because loses the wife to a guy
In prison.
in prison. I mean, how worse could it get for him? Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it was it was a great story. That's it's beautiful portrayed by the both of them. But also there are like tiny bits that I appreciate. Again, it's the fact that the small town thing that there's the sheriff and the policeman, and they ask the lawyer to solve the situation.
Oh my God, it was
You know,
disgusting. Yeah. It's you feel her being pressured in these tiny little ways, and it's like the male authority here just pushing this woman into such a dangerous situation. I mean, it was, yeah, it was frustrating for sure. But yeah, I mean, her segment, I honestly didn't know what was going to happen next. I didn't know how it was going to resolve, if we were even going to return to it for any significant length of time. I just didn't know how Reichardt was going to structure the movie. But we quickly move on to Michelle Williams' segment. And yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know how I feel about. If, you know, I would probably say if I had to, it was my least favorite segment in the film. And yet also super compelling because that her and her family dynamic and driving out to this, you know, Albert, you know, and to talk to him about the sandstone, and they're buying this house, and it feels like it feels so tense. There's this tense negotiation going on between the three of them, and all of that tension is happening in the silences. It's happening in what's not being said. And so I couldn't help but, I'm so glad, by the way, I watched this with subtitles. Because if I
Yeah.
didn't, I may have lost this film. Honestly, yeah. Because Laura Dern, by the way, I mean, she whispers her way through the movie. She's so soft spoken. Thank God I had the subtitles on.
Yeah.
But it allowed me to really engage. I love reading anyway. So it allowed me to really engage with that segment, like Michelle Williams, and really think, okay, so why do you want the stone so much? Is her husband going to help her in this negotiation? What does this older man want? And oh my God, just throughout this movie, the echoes of loneliness from everybody is just so apparent. You know, it's soaked through with loneliness. Um, yeah, it's remarkable. Like you said, Zaylin, just as a slice of life, there are lines in this film where I'm like, you know, the older man Albert says, you know, I bought this house in '76 or something like that. And he says, still need to get, you know, there's still work that needs to be done. I need to do the back porch. And he
Mhm.
says, probably won't ever do that. Won't ever get to do that. I'm
Yeah.
76. You know, it's lines like that. And you just think, my God, this is remarkable. This is life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
loneliness, and then as I mentioned earlier, that like I really appreciate the small gestures and stuff that, and I really, it's sometimes you can't. You're right, your observation, Chris, about the silence and the not having, like much dialogue, is they they tell you more about the silences than the spoken words. But that there was a lot of things when he looks at the husband, it's like, no, you need to help me here, right? And
Yes. Yeah.
it's just not there in the frustration in her eyes, and it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
have to do this. And and she tried to be graceful and polite, doesn't want to rip off this old man, but he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
What's awkward, would I feel guilty to asking for these things, but I really need these, so it's those little openness that I can't, the only thing that I could see openness portrayed better, it is the Ricky Gervais office and the comedy level, because that I don't even
Yeah.
laugh. He mastered the openness
The
in a
cringe
hilarious,
comedy. Yeah.
and for me, Kelly, she mastered it in an opposite way, in terms of more dramatic and more, intro um, way. And when you pick those moments in it, that's what I mean about gifts. Like, oh, I've seen this little glance and all these little things which, if you're not focused on, you could just, just miss those moments. And when you
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
realize, and obviously helps when you watch a film, that's when you realize, oh, there's more to this film. And yeah, I agree that the second storyline probably the not the strongest side of the three, but still gives, so much in terms of like the relationship between the family,
Mm-hmm.
um like her, journey in a way. like it's a different character, out in the rural life. But obviously, then it comes to the third part, which I thought that the relationship between Kristen Stewart and Lily Gladstone character
It's
was
fascinating. Yeah.
fascinating.
But I mean, so what, Hannah? What did you think of the Michelle Williams segment? Do you have any feelings about it?
Oh, I think I'll merge my thoughts between Laura Dern and Michelle Williams's. Oh, or I mean, even
Mm-hmm.
just through all three of them, their stories and how Kelly frames all of it and pieces them together. It has me reflecting on the passage of time and how we spend our time a lot, or how our time um, is used. I'm thinking of Laura Dern. I think one of the earliest things she's saying is with her clients, like, you've got to stop coming here. So it seems like
Mm-hmm.
he's hounded her for quite a while. He's out of time with his own case. Had taken a wrong turn earlier on, and I don't know if that was with Laura or not, where the time for him to have been able to sue was over because he accepted an offer that wasn't enough.
That
But
that that
he,
line of Laura Dern's to the other lawyer of 8 years of telling him this, and
yeah,
now it's okay.
yeah, yeah. And they're obviously speaking, especially in two of the stories, Laura's and Michelle Williams is the apparent disdain for of not disdain was probably the wrong word, but women not being taken at face value, or the value of their words
Mm-hmm.
is non-existent to the men who are listening. Michelle Williams is trying to, broker this deal for this limestone, offers to pay for it. The gentleman only interacts with her husband, and it
Right.
frustrates her, and she's frustrated during that time. The fact that she's the one wanting to make this deal, she is the catalyst for this project, which seems like they're building a secondary home out in Montana. And it's important to her to have authentic pieces of the space in it. But a husband who probably does not have that, he doesn't care about it. His heart isn't in it. This is her passion project, even though he is executing it. But the fact that even on a project that she's spearheading, this man will not interact with her whatsoever. Laura Dern can't get her client to listen to her. And then you kind of feel like, what wasted time, I'm a professional. My time is a little bit wasted here, and I have other things that's pulling me away from where I want to be. And with her, I don't know much of her motivations anyways, with any of the characters, because they're quite internal. But with Michelle Williams is the thinking of passage of time, the time, like the limestone has been there for ages. It used to be a schoolhouse.
Mm.
It's been
Mm.
out there. That gentleman had a different purpose for it, like purpose and time and the passage of time changing,
Mm-hmm.
between either oscillating between having a purpose or not. And I think of Lily Gladstone's character later on too. It doesn't seem like in search of a purpose exactly, but existing in time. I don't
Mm-hmm.
get the sense, she's not lamenting her seasonal job. She's in it and living every day, and not essentially crossing off the dates on a calendar, but being quite present there. But I think those are most of my thoughts. I mean, it's just interesting to just see Michelle Williams and us having the glimpse of knowing that that relationship isn't where, and as you said, Chris, the tension is there in the silences between those characters, those looks. um and I feel like it's definitely a good middling holder, I guess, for all three of the stories
Probably
Mm.
the
together.
shortest one as well out of the three, but it's a nice segue to the third part, and it's just yeah. There's a lot of like even those sequences, like even the framing of the shots, I really appreciate, and how it tried to catch the characters' reaction, like and just like rather than
Yeah.
just to put you in a situation, and like where usually you expect, okay, this person talking, another person talking, and it's your brain wired in a way, and then
Right.
her director style is very unconventional. So I think it's I understand that if you first time you watching her films, that it gives you a little homework in a way, like to get adjusted to this style. But it's one of those that, once you get on that ride and you manage to
Mhm.
you find the rhythm of the film,
Mm, mm-hmm.
you're right,
Yes.
that you could find, but it's not always the case.
Yeah, find the rhythm. That's exactly right. And I
Yeah.
wonder if the book, if the short story will give you more insight into these characters, like you were saying, Hannah. Like so many
Yeah.
of them, their struggles, their motivations, their goals are internal. And Michelle Williams' character in particular, what's the fascination here with this with the rocks, with the
Mhm.
sandstone? What is that? And
Yeah.
what's that the substitute for? What is this? I'd really, really love to know more about that. And I don't have to. That's fine because I believe it's there for her because she's such a great fucking actress. So yeah, yeah,
What a
and then
great question.
what were you saying?
What a great question you posed just now. Like what is it in place of? What a
Yeah, considering how empty that family life seems to be,
And this
and
is it. Yeah, you rightly say, like, this is the element that I love Kelly's work, but this is the element that I understand, and a frustration can come to viewers, because a lot of her works, you don't get an answer, like there is, and some of her films, even the way it ends, questions everything that happened before in a story, and then you thinking like, why is it ended here, and what, and it's but I appreciate that it's like, okay, I'm not gonna write like I write a script in film school, and this is it, and page 27 needs to be a big change, and it's like, it's not, like, she has this very particular way of filmmaking. And what I really like her body of work, that you can find the same traces of things appearing in a different, or form. And I think, like, I really like in a director when you have a signature style, and you might not be a biggest fan, but I might show you a trailer, and you see the mastermind there and thinking, that's a Reichardt film, even without
right,
knowing. And I
right.
think and I appreciate it even with directors that maybe, like, I'm not the biggest fan, but like when there's a specific style attached to them, I think, that says a lot about, their body of work.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And yeah, and then we move into that final section, and you know what, Zaylin, I might have to agree with you. It might be my favorite. It was just, oh, I mean, it's so engrossing, and I think what makes it work, I have to say, is Lily Gladstone. And first of all, by the way, I was like, Lily Gladstone? Oh, so she was in stuff before Killers of the Flower Moon? I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I didn't realize that. She was Oscar nominated for Killers of the Flower Moon and probably most known for that now. But she is wonderful. I mean, it's almost like an acting lesson what she's doing here because it's all in her eyes, it's all in her face, it's all in her expressions, in her gestures, in the way she walks, in the way she sits. I mean, it's a masterclass performance. It truly is, and it's so desperately sad and longing, and I almost couldn't bear it. I mean, where it all goes when she drives. Listen, before we even get to that, she starts to get used to this rhythm, right? With Kristen Stewart, she falls into this pattern. You go into the diner, after class, and she needs her to desperately. And I don't know where you both fell on this. Do you think it was a romantic connection and attraction, or do you think it was more of just, uh, uh, she just wants company. She sees a friend here. She sees someone who maybe she can actually spend time with. I think you could look at it either way and it works. You know?
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think it could be.
Um.
I agree. I mean, it could be, the answer might be both, because like, it's the relationship, it's
Mm,
someone to talk to, and that not necessarily, she's not asking her to, like, just, like, straight come to my house. It's just like, but she looks so majestic on that horse. She just
yes, she
does.
does.
It's like,
yeah.
but I think, going back to what you guys said earlier about the book, I think, I'm just my guess, but I think her casting, and in general, I think these are, I think these books are about Native American writers, so the Native American
Uh huh.
symbol had to be in it, and you see little, like, bits in it in the beginning, like little
Yes.
cultural, like, elements. So I think it was important to someone to represent, and then that's, I think it was her breakthrough role, because she got nominated for a few awards for this performance, which hands down, obviously, she deserved.
Phew.
But I also think
Absolutely. Yeah.
Kristen Stewart, she played this washed up, bit lost, and scruffy
Mm-hmm.
personality just perfectly. That I couldn't
Yeah.
have picked anyone to play that character better. And it's kind of, you see her guilt on her, like, she doesn't want to, like, engage, but doesn't want to
Mm-hmm.
rude or hurt another person. But what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna say anything. I'm just gonna look around, and then you're right. It's the silence that just keeps me. Okay, well, I'm gonna go now.
I mean,
I'm not doing anything back
that's yeah,
here.
that's the worst silence of the movie. That is the worst one. That's the one I was unbearable for me. I couldn't stand it. Even my girlfriend was like, "You're not going to say something," you know. And but it's funny because with her character, with Kristen Stewart's character, I never was against her in any way. I never sort of held any of her actions against her. When she explains what she's going through, this is my day-to-day life. I get 4 hours sleep a night, and I have to do all this. And I was always like, I totally understand. Even you being at the diner right now, it's not to connect with this person, it's just to have something to eat. And then you need to drive 4 hours. You have no time in your life for
Yeah.
a relationship or a connection. And so it's when you have Lily Gladstone's character, even when she mentioned, would you like to come to the ranch, see the horses? It's 10 o'clock. I really
Yeah.
need to leave. I'll
4
get
hour
home by
drive.
2. Yeah, it's crushing. Reminds me when we watched Adaptation last time, and you have
The dinner
Nicolas Cage at the
scene.
table
Yeah,
trying to
yes.
engage the waitress. I was like, oh my god, it's so
You,
hard to watch. But yeah, when she does the drive to Livingston and is seeking her out, my heart is just sinking more and more and more because I'm thinking this. I have a feeling this is not going to work out. And that conversation between the two of them, Reichardt completely upends, like you were saying, your expectations for what you expect in a movie because
Mhm.
they don't. They have this moment of silence, and she says, "Oh, I guess I'll go then." After she bears her soul to this person and she gets in the car, and I was certain once she's in the car and she starts driving off on the windshield, or she'll step out in the car and they'll, no.
Yeah.
I was stunned. And I have to say, the final shot of the film where she's just back to her routine, it ends in a place where if I was alone, I probably would have burst into tears. It's such a lost sort of oh my God, I can't even begin to explain what's been lost there, but something truly special has, um so desperately sad, so
and
sad.
yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, Hannah, you must have seen Wendy and Lucy, right? With Michelle Williams, with when
It's been
she's
so
after
long.
for her dog, and that's, I felt the same way. Like, it's portrayed, as you're right, Chris. It's just you feel this, you feel sorry for the person, and on such a deep level, because it doesn't. And that's why maybe, like, I don't know if it's true, but maybe that's why she didn't use music, because whether we like it or not, I love music in films, but it's
Me
kind
too.
of,
Yeah.
music is kind of manipulating you. Sometimes it's for the right
Yes.
reasons, but
Yes.
it tells you you should feel this way, right?
Mm.
And then she's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do that to you, because you could, put the violin and stuff for all those, but it's, I'm just gonna do it, when it adds to it. And actually, probably the best musical bit is the very end, but like the last, it's just nicely the folk guitar comes in, um, and the movie ends. But yeah, it's that's why you feel a lot of silences, and
Mm.
just doesn't want to, like, let you see how you feel and how you react to the characters, what they display and your gestures, and doesn't want to, like, put it on you, like, okay, now this is when you cry, now this is when you laugh, this is when you scratching your head because what's happening. So it just kind of lets you take
Right.
whatever you get. I'm giving you this, my version of this, and you take whatever you think that, that resonates with you.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Truly. Truly. And it's bold. It's bold, but it works. Yeah, it really does. I mean, and I'm so curious as to what the short stories are. How do they start? How do they end? Did she tweak that at
Mhm.
all? Yeah, I'm fascinated now, and I would actually love to read them. Um,
Curious.
yeah, but and then that's mostly the main cast there, and then yeah, Kelly Reichardt's the writer director. She's only done a handful of movies: River of Grass, Old Joy, Wendy and Lucy, Meek's Cutoff, Night Moves, Certain Women, First Cow, Showing Up, and then this year the new movie, The Mastermind. And yeah, it looks as if that's one, two, three, four films that she's done with Michelle Williams. I don't know if Michelle Williams is in this Mastermind
The
movie. I
new
don't
one,
think she is. No.
no,
Um, but yeah, yeah, fascinating filmmaker, and yeah, I mean, I'm now that I enjoyed this so much, I'm very curious as to whether I'll enjoy any of her other films or if I'll have a new appreciation for First Cow and Showing Up. Now that
I
I'm
think
Yeah.
sort of I
now I
feel
think
like now I adjusted to the frequency
I
on the
think you
third
would
try.
like Night Moves. Night Moves is her most commercial film. It's
Mhm.
about this environmental activist who try to do like a major, like
They
it's
want to destroy a dam.
dam, and then it's
Hmm.
Jesse Eisenberg, and it's very the storyline. There is a plot to it, and I
Oh,
don't, I'm not going to reveal what happens, but I think that's the most commercially, and I think you would enjoy All Joy. It's a beautiful film about friendship,
Really?
and hindsight, that probably should have been the first, introduction for Kelly Reichardt, and
Hmm.
it's in Oregon. She shoots a lot in Oregon, and like in general in the Pacific Northwest.
yeah.
And yeah, I think, those films are great. Meat Scott Off is, and Wendy and Lucy again. It, it's difficult to digest, but there's a lot to offer. All of her films, I don't think she made a bad movie. And even River of Grass, you could tell it's a first direct, first movie, but
Hmm.
there's some good, really good. There's actually really good dialogues in that one.
Oh.
And Showing Up,
Yeah.
the last one, which was, I just love the way about art is portrayed, because it really gets into your head of an artist, and which again, it could be chaotic and could be confusing, and it's challenging in a way, um, but again the friendship between them two, it's quite and revering. So yeah, I mean, it's yeah, I love her filmography, and I'm just glad we spent an hour to talk about it. I really enjoyed this.
I'm so glad you chose it. Yeah, because I never would have probably gone to it myself. Oh, and before we go as well, we have to talk about the cinematography of this movie. those landscape shots of this movie, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
Montana is on display here.
Yeah.
It looks gorgeous. Gorgeous,
Mm.
gorgeous, gorgeous. The cinematographer's Christopher Blovelt. Sounds like a Bond villain.
Yeah, it does.
And he's done Meek's Cutoff. You know, he's worked with Reichardt a few times. He did the Bling Ring for Sophia Coppola.
Oh, wow.
That was good. Yeah, it was it's surprising
Yeah,
film that.
he did Emma, which was that the film with
Was
Anya
Autumn the
Taylor.
Wild?
Yes, Autumn the
Oh,
Wild.
okay.
And he did Todd Haynes' May December.
Here we go.
There we go.
Oh,
It
everything
all
comes
comes
together.
round. It
Oh,
all
yeah.
comes round.
Oh, man. If I may, just because
Yes.
Chris, you said something a little bit earlier. You're talking about like now you feel like you're tuned into the right frequency for a Kelly Reichardt film,
Mm-hmm.
and that is one thing I really honed in on this watch was, and you guys had made allusions to it or mentioned it earlier, but with Lily Gladstone's character Jamie, especially on the drive home, and then when we are seeing her back at the stables, the sound that we're getting is essentially like the searching through the radio AM FM channels, searching for a frequency. And I just kept thinking, I was like, she never dials into one specifically. And then I'm like, oh my God, I think all of these vignettes are these missed connections. Like the lawyers, the client is looking to connect with his lawyer or to anybody, with his case too, but also on a personal level. So you find out later he wished he had heard back from her and he was trying to make a connection there. The lawyer
Mm.
herself with the husband, who the extramarital affair there, a connection. I don't know what she's looking for. That in that marriage, the husband, the wife, and the daughter, the disconnects in there, and the fact that Lily Gladstone is on a completely different frequency with Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart is like
Mm.
barely she has a short frequency. She's going really fast. Like she has no time to stop. And Lily Gladstone's these long, languid waves. They're completely out of tune with each other. And I feel like it's missed connections or like
Such a great
you're
point.
spinning that little dial and
Yes.
On point.
tune in.
That's
Even
such a
even in
great
those
observation.
themes, even in the background in the second part, and they listening to the college football. I mean, I'm an NFL, geek, so I pick all those things. Again, like missed pass, or there's like interception, or like so all these things. Like I can't believe you.
Oh, that's great. What a
Very,
great ear.
she's very precise. It's like everything. There's a reason for every shot, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you're right, Chris, about
Ah,
the landscape. I love in films when the location is a character. It is a huge character. This
Yes.
film
Mm.
wouldn't work if you put it in a city, or what I mean.
Mm.
And
yes.
specifically these places, the distances between one town to another, and
Yes.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
developed.
Yes. How much land there is, how vast it is, adding to
Yeah.
that feeling of loneliness and feeling so small
Correct, right?
amongst the bigger picture. Yeah.
From
Um, I think you
Yeah. So
guys
go for it.
I was like, oh no, we're fighting with the host for time. What I One of you guys said it earlier, like what a phenomenal director she is, and just to these points right now, she's very specific. So I'm like, what is the meaning? She's not just gonna splice any random old bits and bobs
Mm.
of radio together that you can catch, even when you have
Mm-hmm.
the subtitles on. But I think she like where some people I feel like if they're designing something it's quite can be quite gaudy or shocking. I feel like Kelly Reichardt, she's most like the most akin association is that she's a tailor. You might not like it's invisible the way that she's working, but it's all exactly where it should be and the right size and right length,
Mm.
everything. And she tailors her films and her stories. Like that's I feel like is her specialty. She's not got flash. You're not looking for drama. You're not looking for avant-garde or the next thing. But she's giving you something exquisitely tailored, and sometimes that can look like quiet work. Like you'll be like, where is it? Where's the touch? I was like, her touch is all over the film. It's
Yeah,
in all those choices.
But
that's such a great point.
and also must be very challenging, but also daunting for the actors as well. Because imagine you're reading a script and you got 5 lines, and you're the main character of the movie. So okay, I have to work with but that is right. Like as an actor, it gives you so much freedom, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like she tells you what I guess she wants you to portray, but
Yeah.
allows you to bring out. It's like I want this emotion out of you, or like how do you feel, and then how do you mastermind awkwardness and stuff. Those are you need to really trust the other person like who's in the scene and to be on the same wavelength. And maybe that's the reason why we see returning cast and producers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And these
Hmm.
people are fresh.
yeah,
Like I'm thinking of they're still in their game. Some of them might not be right. Like the last one was at the beginning, so she just caught her before Scorsese did. But I mean, now with Joshua O'Connor, Alana Haim for her second feature, like people, these actors of different calibers, maybe different phases of their careers, but definitely still relevant, are seeking out to know what her next project is. And I I wonder what that speaks to, especially with
Yes.
working with her. What
Yeah.
is that like? I'm so curious.
You're so right. You're so right. It looks as if, I mean, actors want to work with her. And I think she's just proving she's just got this track record. You're looking at her filmography, and film to film to film, she's building it more and more and more. And she's appealing. I mean, it's one thing I learned as an actor is that it's actually not the amount of lines that you have. I think, a common misconception is you want all the lines, right? Because that means you have a bigger part and you've got more things to do. Where actually, the less lines you have, the more opportunity there is for great screen acting or just acting in general. I remember, I don't know if I've said this before, maybe I have. I repeat myself a lot, sorry. But I read this wonderful story once with that Michael Caine wrote in his autobiography. And he was early in his career, he was on stage and he was in a scene, he said, where he didn't have any lines. And so he was just standing there. And the director yelled, cut, and said, Michael, what are you doing? He was like, nothing. He went, exactly. You're doing nothing. Why are you doing nothing? He said, well, I haven't got any lines. I've got nothing to say. And he went, actually, that's where you're wrong. He said, you've got everything to say. In fact, you're standing there and you've just thought of the best thing to say. You just chose not to say it.
Mm.
And I was like, wow, and that is such a lesson in silence, and that is what Kelly Reichardt clearly draws out of her actors, and why it must be so appealing for people. And it's challenging. That's not easy. That's not an easy thing to do. You have to live in your moment, in your present, in your character, and it's uncomfortable. So credit to her as a director and these actors for showing up. And I honestly, this conversation, listen, I had a rating in my head. It's gone up thanks to you two. So,
I take that as a win. But in general, like yeah, that's right. It's I think, and then it goes to show the relationship on the set because you need to really trust like your actors, but also like the relationship between the actor and the director, that you want to portray what specifically they want you to like show, but you do it your own way. And that could be very liberating to say like, okay, I want you to act that makes me feel in certain way, and I don't tell you how, but get me there. And that is like, okay,
mm,
and if I'm an actor and I've that is refreshing, because that's what you really bring something your own to the character and to the film. And then um,
mm-hmm.
that
Mm.
becomes a great collaboration, because that's what we all know. Film is all about collaboration, and when everyone's on the same wavelength, um, that's why I really love in films. Like I digress, but I really love like long takes. I like slow
Mm.
movies. I like long takes because you know that everyone need to be perfect in that.
Yeah,
I know
that's
you might
right.
have done 100 times to get there, but
Yeah.
appreciate a long take, especially when we're eating and all the stuff involved, because it's like I forget I'm watching a movie. I'm really into that world that they showcasing to me.
Have you seen any of the Studio, that Apple TV Plus show with Seth Rogen?
Absolutely.
Yes, a few, yeah.
So good. And they are I know they did the episode The Oneer, which was fucking hilarious, but so impressive. But in
Yeah.
most episodes, before they cut to the next scene, it's a oneer. I mean, the whole thing is like one whole long take. It's fascinating. And
Yeah.
Made
yeah,
Martin
if
Scorsese get an Emmy. So once you achieve nominated for an Emmy, so that you do something right then. So
incredible, yeah. I
yeah,
think
cameos and
if
everyone.
yeah, if you love movies, if you're a cinephile, the Studio is just going to speak to you. I mean, it's packed full of references. I mean, there's no way you can't not love it. It's a satire, right? It's a takedown of the industry completely, while also just paying so much homage to it. It's highly recommended. Um,
Yeah.
any final thoughts on Certain Women? I do have one final question. Why is it called Certain Women?
That was my question.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah,
First of all,
yeah.
the word certain has different meanings, right? Like you could interpret it, in
Certain women.
Ooh,
seem
that's
to be in a
true.
certain way. So,
That's
Yeah.
true.
but I think my take on it is that what Hama was saying earlier, and if I have to, I don't think it's the meaning of a film, but I think there's a lot of truth to it as well. That it's a lot about men not listening to women in general in this scenario, and like in all the like three storylines. So it's about the collection of women in this film. Okay, but I don't really know if is the book called Certain Women as well, or like the
No. And apparently
No.
it's short stories from two separate short story collections. So I'm like,
Yeah.
even weirder, like that they're not in the
Yeah.
same volume.
The collections are Half in Love, and the other one is called Both Ways is the Only Way I Want It. And those particular stories are called Native Sandstone, Travis B, and Tome. So yeah, this is a must be a Reichardt creation, this title. And it's
Wow.
interesting because I honestly, from the Laura Dern section, I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a movie about how women feel in this world of men. And you could apply that to that first story. You could apply it to the second story. The
Yeah.
third one, I'm like, not really seeing how any men feature into this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Certain Women.
I know.
Yeah, it's an
I
interesting.
like mystery.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I just quickly read that she originally called the film Half in Love, but changed it to Certain Women. Um,
ooh, I like Half in Love. I get
but then
it. I
Half
get
in
that
Love
at
is
least.
just the last. He wouldn't. Yeah, I guess maybe it would. Maybe it would feel. Yeah, like the
It
whole.
fits all three.
Suppose. Yeah,
Yeah,
Half in Love is a good one too. But yeah,
Half in
it's
Love I really like. All right, we're gonna
Oh.
rename it.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
um,
it's fascinating, in terms of like the if there's a hidden meaning behind it. I guess maybe I have to check if there's a old Q&A and someone's on screen.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think you know what? I don't think she would give an answer. I think she would be like, I don't want to give you an answer, like because I don't think she like because I
And
think
I
she's
respect
read
that. I
about it.
like that. Yeah.
She doesn't like the fact that you have to talk about the film because it's a different thing. It's like a different, right? It's a different word where you've done your film and then you go on a press tour and then and I need to explain of like, no, I made this film for, I'm giving my heart and I'm giving, you know, my like layered, you know, like expression in art form, and then you take away what you like. I don't
Yes.
tell. It's like
Yeah.
asking a painter, "Oh, why did you?" It's like, well, that moment, I felt this is, you know, and it's you don't always need to give an answer. So
I
yeah,
totally agree with you.
about
Yeah.
that. So
And she's clearly not that kind of filmmaker. Look at her film. She's not interested in just handing it to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree. All right, so shall we do ratings?
Yeah.
I have a feeling I know what Zalen's is going to be, but
Okay.
I'll tell you this. This was when I finished it. It was hands down. It was a 3. It was a 3. But this conversation has bumped it up to a 4 for me. I have a
wow,
much deeper appreciation for it
that's
because of
so
you both, and so thank you for that. Um, Hannah.
I was going with a 3, but
Oh,
I think I
we're
was gonna be
always
the same.
quite similar, I think.
I know, yeah. I went to 3.5, and so much of that is the performances
Mm,
that they give to us. And I feel them. I feel they're weathered. I don't think they were quickly like sandblasted to look with like they had the patina. The characters had the patina there, and they continue to exist somewhere out in Montana for me. Like they're still out there
mm-hmm.
living. So yeah, 3.5.
I love that. Okay, excellent. And Zaylen, am I putting down a 5 for you?
I absolutely love this film. I don't give fives out that easily, but it's
Yes, you said, yeah.
strong, close for me. I'm giving a 4.75.
Oh, it's so
Oh,
close.
we've not had a
It's
0.75 that I know.
yeah. But I have to ask now, what stops it from being a 5?
Like for me, no, it's not like something stopping it. It's just like for me, it's like have to emotionally hit me something or like yeah, I give something, you know, like films that really um like gives me something that like I'm eager to watch it again or just contemplate it, which it gets close to it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think there is another masterpiece in her that I could give you know,
I
like you know.
see.
So
Yet to
and
come.
it's only you know
Mm-hmm.
it's only 7 8 films so far. So, um,
Mm.
but it changes with the view because like to be honest with you, I wish I'd seen this in the cinema now because obviously, like, and it's obviously shot in film as well, 35 minutes. So if I
Mm.
had seen it in a nice way in the cinema now, I might give it a 5 out of 5. You know, so
Mm.
uh,
That's
it's
fair enough. Okay,
yeah.
that's fair enough.
Unless
Well,
this year I had not given out a 5.
yeah.
So
And
uh,
you know what? Neither have I, come to think of it. I haven't seen a 5-star film yet
seen a
either.
lot of
It
movies, great, but it's just nothing, you know, like that would say like, you know what? Okay, now I'll give you actually. Now I thought about it. I'll give you an answer.
go
For
on.
me, an instant 5 is when I know that this is like, I look back at this year and this movie is gonna stand out. You know,
Mm.
when I look back in terms of like certain films that I absolutely love, like There Will Be Blood or Eternal Sunshine, that like that it's like I absolutely passionately, you know, and this is gets close to it, but you know, I can't, you know, I can't fight so hard for it, you know, like if let's say there are films that I really love and people let's say, you know, like don't like that, that's fine, but I would try to convince or I'll be probably more passionately try to argue my way for it. So I guess if the fact that I could, you know, like there's some bits when you could say that maybe the title, maybe if it's called Half in Love, then I would give it.
Yeah, there we go.
Exactly. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe the mastermind this year. Let's see if
Yeah,
that
Masterpiece.
will be a 5-star for
it's
you. Yeah.
coming for us to us, Chris, in November.
Oh, is it? Okay, then. Okay, so we may very well discuss
Ooh.
it. Okay, excellent. That's exciting. All right. Well, Zalan, thank you for choosing this movie, truly, because great discussion and a fascinating film, and I'm so pleased I watched it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah,
That's what this is all about.
I knew not gonna be the film that everyone's gonna be, loving it, and so I thought it's a nice little, and in a way, like it's as it goes into the way that it's a different type of film that we usually see. So I'm really looking forward to see what's coming next now.
Yes,
Me too.
indeed. So am I. I wish I was able to announce that now. I'm not, unfortunately, because we just haven't had any word back from who's next in the rotation. However, we'll know very soon, and we will certainly be back to discuss, whatever movie is chosen next. And I look forward to it. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Zaylin and Hannah, for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
It's great.
Good to see you. Bye.
Good to
Is
see you, and I'll see you
Bye.
next time. Great, and yes, actually, before we leave today, we're going to end things on a slightly different note, literally. Stefan Krieger is the editor and composer of the podcast. You can find more of his stuff at stefan-krieger.com. On our last Film Club episode, when we discussed adaptation, there was a lovely moment where Luke read out a passage from the movie that Hannah graciously put in the chat, that was actually quite lovely and powerful. If you listen back to the episode, you'll hear a lovely piece of music playing over it that Stefan added to enhance the moment. I texted him and said, "What is that music you used?" And he said, "It's mine. I've already sent this to
Wow,
you. It's my own piece."
nice.
And I said, "Apologies, I should have known, but damn, that sounds good." So I thought I'd take a moment to spotlight it in its entirety, that piece of music. And we hope you enjoy it. Thank you for listening again. We will see you here next time as we close out to The Blank Canvas by Phoenix Cinema Podcast's very own Stefan Krieger.